2% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't live the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and then they sent me where the life is be. That level 4 with depth and vice, the type of stuff they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee. I refuse to die a chump. I never been a mark, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get pumped, and some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5 year-long racial fights when homie all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, AB skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF, the Kumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. That MS was loony, quick to ride up on they rival. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in a Bible. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damus, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IE, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pyrus, the hustlers quick to roll, the gangsters don't move. Whatever click you choose, you better say what's cracking YouTube. It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a pro violation. Yard down. You already know what it is today, man. We got a good interview coming up, man. One of my longtime friends, one of my partners, a dude who I did some time with. Actually, he was my next door neighbor in Ironwood. Either we was next door or 2 sales away, somewhere around there, man. But anyway, my good partner, man, Crayzo from Raymond. What's up, homie? How you been, man?
Hey, chill. Well, now since you on YouTube, you done got your channel and then got rich, I gotta call you 16 to life. What's the deal, homeboy? Glad to finally grace the platform, man.
Well, hey, thank you, homie. I appreciate it, man. You know, it's good to see you. It's good to see you on this side of the wall, man. You know, for all of you guys not familiar with Crayzo, like I said, you may have seen him, or some of you guys may be familiar with him and may have seen him on the Kev Mack show. Real good dude, though, man. We was good friends in Ironwood when he paroled, man. He, you know, Crayzo was a gambler. He used to love to gamble. I didn't really partake in much gambling. Me and him would go outside and we'd gamble playing some basketball, 3-point shots. But Crayzo left me about $200-300 worth of stuff. Man. He's a real good dude, man. So and tell us a little about yourself, when you was born, where you grew up at, and that type of thing.
Oh, I was born in actually Compton, California. It's a hospital that's no longer there. Rancho Dominguez Hills Hospital, Compton, California. 50 years old now. Grew up all over Los Angeles, Inglewood, Compton, LA, West Los Angeles. Grandma stayed on the east side. Just pretty much all around LA.
So as far as your earliest memory, where can you remember growing up first at initially?
Oh man, my grandmother, rest in peace, my maternal grandmother, Janet Ward, 127th and Central Avenue. That's the earliest house I can remember. That's actually the childhood home my mother and aunt grew up in, right on 127th and Central. You know, in the cul-de-sac, because when you go around the cul-de-sac, it turns into Bellhaven, 1111 127th Street. I guess you would consider that maybe Carver Park, maybe West Side. I'm not too sure, but it's right there on the corners.
And so how old would you say you was when you, as the saying goes, you know, jumped off the porch and became involved in the streets?
See, that's a 10-pronged question, you know what I'm saying? Because going to Compton, being out there, when we would leave off the west side, I go visit my cousins or whatever, being that my family out there was such a prominent family, I would run around and I would see things, you know what I'm saying? So I remember selling rock cocaine. I'm not gonna say crack because that came out later, but selling rock cocaine. Some of my folks from 151 had a spot over there by Compton High. Rest in peace to Cookie Man also from 151. They had a spot over by Compton High. So at 11 years old, man, I was selling half of tracks and all that, you know, because I always knew how to count. My mom sent me to private school. I mentioned that on Kev Mack. Oh, matter of fact, Chill, let me give a shout out to Kev Mack videos, man. If it don't be for Kev Mack and my big homie Big Nugget, I'm never on YouTube. So shout out to those two brothers, my big homie Nug and Kev Mack. Yeah, but to get back to the question you asked me, I went to go live with Pops in 86. Yeah, 86. So mind you, I'm not a gangbanger or nothing like that yet. But mind you, my big cousin is very prominent. You know what I'm saying? He gangbang. He's Raymond. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm familiarized with all the dudes I would see growing up with on that side. They would be over coming to grandma's house and all that. So around that time, I started going to Bethune Junior High. And I was claiming Raymond. Matter of fact, shout out to my homie Baby Moon, Kevin Green Eye Baby Moon. We was going to Bethune, and he was actually from the set already, and I was claiming the hood. And then as 87 rolled in, you know what I'm saying? I actually, let me see. No, 87. I started, my cousins start taking me back and forth to the turf. So I start seeing little stuff. And before they go out and do whatever they do, they take me back to grandma's house. And then, like I mentioned on Kev Mac videos, me and Pops, we wasn't seeing eye to eye. And around 88, that's when I ran away from home, man. And it was to the hood. You know what I'm saying? So officially being from Raymond as an actual name and accounted for, 1988. That's when I officially became from the set.
And so how did you happen to adopt the name Baby Crayzo?
My big cousin, Big Crayzo. My big cousin, Big Crayzo. And then I didn't know him yet, but my big homie, Lil Crayzo, which is actually Gangbanger's life coach, he was incarcerated at the time. So when he come home in 89, I'm already pushing, you know what I'm saying? And then that's when he officially met his little homie, the homie Lil Crayzo, Gangbanger's life coach. Shout out to him.
Right. And so how long was it before you found yourself caught up in some legal, should we say some legal trouble?
When I started gangbanging, it was all hands on deck. And it wasn't no just hanging and sitting drinking. No, you had to be about what you was about, because everybody around you was about that. And then finally I happened to catch a dope case in the hood, because around I want to say Inglewood so bad, but nobody gonna really know what I'm talking about. But in our section, we say Inglewood. In that part of Inglewood, where the Crips at, you know what I'm saying? We say Inglewood. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to the Damus, and they understand. But in our section, we say Inglewood. But the police ran up on me one day at one of the motels. Matter of fact, the Zephyr Motel, and I had some dope on me. I went to jail. My uncle came and got my auntie boyfriend. He actually just came and got me out. I got right out. But yeah, man, it was pretty much just on and cracking. Hey, I never forget the time I was talking to my homie Baby T. He was living in San Diego, him and his girlfriend Vivian at the time. And I was on the run, and I went down there to San Diego. This is about 89 and 90. I went down there to San Diego because I'm on the run in the hood. It's hot, you know what I'm saying? And I had never seen so much red in my life. I just didn't know Bloods walked around like that. You know, they was like everywhere. It was like being in Inglewood times 10. You know what I'm saying? It was like I couldn't believe it. So, but needless to say, man, I'm shooting people all in front of my homie house, all behind the house, broad daylight, jumping out in intersections. And about 3 months of that, my homie and his girl Vivian, man, Baby Crayzo got to go. They sent me right back to the hood.
So let me ask you this, right? Explain to those people who are not necessarily familiar with the LA culture, and especially Inglewood. Inglewood has especially back then, for most cities, it had a large amount of Bloods, right?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely, man. No disrespect to the IVCs and other Crip sets out there, but that's a Blood city. You know what I'm saying? The Crips are really centralized in one section. The rest, the other 75-85% Inglewood, is all Bloods. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what that is. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that. So like I said, all the way up from the time before I even started gangbanging through those 80s and 90s and all that, if you was about what you was about and really about that, then you have a reputation for putting in work. If you don't have a reputation for putting in work, then you wasn't like that. You know, it's really self-explanatory.
And today, now, people may look at, the gangbanging culture, Crips and Bloods, and of course now, being, I guess, with social media, being a blood has become way more popular. But back in those days, you had way more Crips outnumber the Bloods. So to be in a city that was dominated by Bloods was rare, especially way back then. What was I call it traditional gang banging? What was traditional gang banging like for you? You know, back in the 80s.
Man, back in the 80s and the 90s, man, gangbang was a 24-hour job. You never had a day off. That just was not part of, normal way of living. You wake up, you go to the hood, or you wake up in the hood. You ain't been home in a week, wherever you may live at, be it parents moved out or whatever. And it was just on and cracking, man. I'll never forget seeing some of my elder homies and big homies getting DP'd, or what they would say now, DP'd or disciplined for not coming to the hood for 2 and 3 days, for not putting in no work. That week, I can remember dudes getting beat down, like really getting whooped because they hadn't been to the turf. So the climate was different, man. No disrespect to today's gang member or affiliate, but things were much different, much different.
And so, like I said, I'm from the city of Bannon, man, and small city. And to keep it 100, when I first went to LA when I was older, because it's crazy because I have family in Inglewood, and they lived by the Forum. And so I would go out there when I was 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, up in that area. But me first going to LA after I had started gang banging myself and seeing the close proximity of Bloods and Crips blew my mind. We was going to the dude we was going to, he lived in the Swan territory. And so in the midst of going to his neighborhood, I saw a Crip on a payphone. About a block later, I seen a bunch of Bloods walking. And like I said, I'm from a small city. At that point in time, it was only one gang in my city. So what was that like, man, growing up in close proximity to people who was trying to shoot you and kill you on a daily basis? And how close was the nearest enemy hood to your hood?
Well, that's why I said what I said in those times. And even though, a lot of the sets or turfs are more or less still the same outside of the gentrification, especially a lot of gentrification in my own particular neighborhood, they were right there, right down the street, like 2-3 blocks away. And then on the east side, like you mentioned, the Swans, on the east side, the hoods are a lot smaller and they're a lot closer together. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you might see somebody right around the corner. But as far as Inglewood, like in our section, you got the Raymonds, you got the IVCs. Then in the late 80s, the Legends came along. So we all in one section in the Watergates, on the other side of Crenshaw, on the other side of Imperial. So the Crips are all really in one section. But for us particular, all we had to cross was like Yukon. And we could be in the Center Parks, which are Bloods. We could be in the Crenshaw Mafias. And the Inglewood families were a little bit north, a little bit back going north, going up Crenshaw. So if you could get what you want in that town, and even the homies from 120th Street, to the east of them are the Anthus Parks. And then to the northeast of them are the Denver Lanes. So it's, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. And shout out to the homies from Pasadena, Raymond. Also, that's another predominantly Blood city. And we have a set out there also, Pasadena, Raymond. So shout out to the homies out there too.
You was really out there. You was really out there in the gang banging world. Did you ever get caught up for that stuff, or you were just out doing what you was doing?
No, those particular things, man. See, the times were different. They didn't have Ring cameras. They didn't have cameras on every light pole. You run a red light, a camera flash taking a picture of you, and people weren't so quick to come forth with what they seen because they know that could be detrimental. So it wasn't nothing to get cracking in broad daylight. You know what I'm saying? Right. But the reason why those particular events happened, because like I said, I jumped knee deep in it, and there was nobody my age per se to run with. So even me mentioning the homie Baby Moon, Green Eye Baby Moon, he's a couple of years older than me. And that's just what it was. If you're gonna be a part of this, you got to be all the way. There's no half stepping in gangbang. You half step, you get victimized. Which is a great segue into my next question that I had. You had mentioned back in those days,
you had a few homies who was disciplined, who was beat up for not coming to the hood on a daily basis. They may have missed 3 or 4 days, and then next time they showed back up, you had homies that wanted to beat them up because they felt it's a war going on. Man, we out here getting cracking, and you're not participating, or you're not participating to the extent that we're participating. So that's wild right there to hear you say that.
Yeah, no, that's real. And anybody go back to the era that I'm referring to, they know that it was really like that, because it was all hands on deck. And just like in prison, back in the hood, you had to be accounted for. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, what you doing? When the last time you put in work? Me personally, far as myself, just me speaking on myself, that was a personal indictment on my cripping if I was ever asked when the last time you put in some work. So I never been asked that question in my life. Only thing I ever needed, especially because I was so young back then, was can you get me some shells? You know what I'm saying? Because you used to be able to go in the Western Surplus or on Hawthorne Boulevard, they had a Savon Surplus and a Western Surplus. They asked the homies or a smoker to go buy you some shells, but it just was what it was. You know what I'm saying? And then we had homies. So you got to think now. I'm speaking of the guys who are 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62. Those guys were 23, 22, 19. You understand what I'm saying? So right. They were in their actual prime, the OG dudes. So I'm rooted in old school traditional cripping and blood and Pyruin, the rules and respecting certain things. So those guys that are in their mid 60s, late 50s, mid 50s, those guys was raised by me. Shout out to the homie Lil Ben Dog, because after I came along, Lil Ben Dog came along, and also the homie Lil Gangster from Pasadena. We were like the only children from the set. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And let me just correct you for, because my viewers, they be on every little thing. You said those guys was raised by me. You meant to say you were raised by those guys, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I was raised by those guys. You know, the legendary figures you may hear about, Crippin' and Blood. You know what I'm saying? Because elders gonna look after youngsters. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I had family on both sides of the fence, so I could see both sides of it. I kind of had an advantage. Me being from LA, it's nothing for me to go to Compton, man, from the east side to the west side, because I grew up out there too. And back then that was like really different, because Compton didn't go to LA and LA didn't go to Compton, not because out of fear or anything like that, just being familiar.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you say after catching your first initial dope case, you got right out. Did you find yourself back in YA behind more legal troubles?
Or when did I get back in trouble again?
Yes.
I had caught another dope case right after that. I wound up going to actual camp. I wound up going to camp in 89. Yeah, 89. I wound up going to camp. Me and the homie Choo Choo, my big homie Choo Choo, we was in Camp Mariloma, and it was 88 or 89. I wasn't out, I don't remember. But and then when it actually got serious for me, me and the homie Lil, and I mentioned on Kev Mac videos, me and the homie Lil Nugget, we went to jail in 90 for a shooting in Inglewood, and he went to the Crip module. I wound up going to juvenile hall, and from there I went to YA, got kicked out of YA, and wound up going to prison. And I didn't come home. I went to jail, I think, November or December of 90. I didn't come home till December of 93.
So let me ask you, when you get caught up on this shooting, how old were you?
I was 15 or 16. Yeah, I was 15 or 16. Yeah. So I mean, see, like I said, it was from what I had already been privy to seeing, in Compton, man, and being able to run around that whole neighborhood. I seen some things that I shouldn't have seen. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna never call Miles a bad parent or nothing like that, but I just had a wide open, you know what I'm saying? I was able to see certain things. So, and for me to go to Inglewood and visit my cousins or whatever over there, being right on 102nd Street, because 102nd Street was also like the White Street in Compton. It was wide open. You could get anything, because we had a world famous apartment called the Coolacoo's over there on 102nd Street, and the Trentons, and it was just going on. I was one of them kids, man. When mine didn't have me in private school, shout out K Anthony, school over there off 84th and Crenshaw, Mr. Johnson, rest in peace. When Monza had me in private school, man, I was in the hood messing with my cousins, you know what I'm saying? So I was already, it's just like, it was like hello world, you know what I'm saying? And once me and Pops got into it and I was a young teenager, man, I actually went to the set. It was really no turning back from there, because once I became officially let's say outlaw, so to speak, I was able to make my own rules and do what I wanted to do. So wasn't nobody going to rein that particular energy in at that time.
And so let me ask you a question, because people who may be unfamiliar with the gang banging culture don't realize, like you say, the 80s were something else, man, with the Crips, the Bloods, and the police department as well. How did you stand up under the scrutiny of police questioning at the age of 15? Because Crayzo, you know, as you and I both know, now that we've got older, everybody that say they down don't stay down when they get caught up in these tough situations where their life or the next 10, 15 years is on the line. How did you stand up under that scrutiny of the police questioning, and how did were they beating you and you know, trying to scare you and all that stuff?
Hey man, Inglewood police, man, they done broke my ribs before, man. Inglewood police was tough on us, man. They used to lightweight, try to call themselves Bloods or whatever, because like I said, it's predominantly Blood City. So the Inglewood police and the Lenox sheriffs, man, they hate Raymonds, man. They yeah, man, the police used to whoop us down, man. But that's okay. So I had a big cousin at the time. You know, and it's all about toughness, you know what I'm saying? Being tough. You never wanted to show any type of being scared, anything like that. So you wanted to maintain the status quo, you know what I'm saying? So we're taught in our households, Black, African American, whatever you want to say, to not ever tell. You know, I can go back to a time to where being with my other little cousins, things like that, you know, the one tell get an ass whooping just like the one who did whatever they did. You know what I'm saying? The person, they get in trouble for doing what they did, and you turn around and get a whooping for telling. So you know, you taught at a young age, you know what I'm saying, to not do no telling and things like that. So and you always wanted your name to be your name. You know what I'm saying? You always wanted to make sure your name was good. So to go to jail and not tell and not make no statements, now that would be kind of frowned upon, the way they have tricked the minds of a lot of people now. But you go to jail, man, you don't say nothing. You don't tell on your friend. You know what I'm saying? That ain't, and if you're the only one get caught, you're the only one in trouble. That means everybody else get a chance to do what they do. You're gonna be all right. You go in there, you take your lick, and you come back home. But we don't make no statements. We don't bend, we don't break, and we don't tell. Crip, Blood, you know, essays. That's just not what it is. If the police are not there and not your crime partners with you, you have nothing to talk to them about.
Right. And I think you made a very profound point, right? Because as you're talking about how we was geared even long before the age of gang members not to tell, you know, it had me thinking of when I was at a babysitter's house. I don't know, maybe I was 9 or 10, and somebody went in there and, you know, she said, hey, stop tattletelling so much. And so, like you said, just being a tattletale, being a person who talked too much and who would tell on others was frowned upon even way back then, you know, whether some agree that it's wrong or it's right. But like you say, we were conditioned differently. And so, of course, once we stepped forward in the gang banging life, that was something that was really, you know, pounded in, you know, don't do no telling. I think that was one of the worst things a person could have done back then, you know.
Watch this, chill. Let me say this to you, and this just came to me as I'm listening to you talk. Not just was I or we, me and you, and those in our age group and those before us taught not to tell, but you got to take it even back further, hundreds and hundreds of years. The Underground Railroad. You couldn't tell. This is a secret. We against them, whoever them may be, and you can go from A to Z on whoever them is. When I was brought up, and people before me, and even now, people who are like-minded, like myself, telling was the worst thing you could possibly be. You know, outside of a child molester and a rapist, man, you don't do no telling. That's not what we do. Just think of the person who ran and told about slaves trying to escape, how the other slaves looked at him. You understand what I'm saying? So there's a history with that. You know what I'm saying? And I would never want to disappoint or disrespect my mother or my family, man, being no rat. That's just like the worst thing in the world, man. You take your lick, whatever you're doing, whatever crime it is, you take your lick, man. And that's just what it is. It's going to work itself out. You don't have a law degree. So what do you need to talk to the police for about legal matters?
Hey, that's,
you know what I'm saying?
That's real. And you know, just to kind of expound on what you said, like you said, I think that it was even, you know, for some of us, once we did get caught, it was bigger than the gang banging situation. Now my name is on the line. You know what I'm saying? Like
and no, let me say this. Not only your name was on the line, but I grew up at a time, and I'm sure you can remember, to where if you tell, you jeopardize your mama, your daddy, your brothers, sisters, and everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because back then people would more or less clean up their backyard, so to speak. So it wasn't a fear incentive type thing not to tell, but you had an understanding that you could jeopardize everything and everybody by being, you know, going to talk to them people, man. That just ain't what it is if you committing crime. Also, it's a tricky part where they say, if you a civilian, you can tell this and tell that. That's true to a point, because you have those civilians and you have the same people, chill, that you grew up with, that I grew up with. We grew up under the same rules, and I'm talking about the people that's from the hood, but not from the set. They knew not to tell too, be it they turn blood, Crip, or whatever. So there's a fine line when people use that term, a civilian, you know, because some civilians that I know, they ain't making no statements to no police, and they ain't no Crip or no blood.
Right. And so you said eventually you was kicked out of YA and you went to prison.
Yeah. Me and the homie Lil Nugget, we caught that shooting in 90. I wound up getting sentenced to YA. He wound up going to prison, and I went to Norwalk, of course, you know, SRCC. They sent me to Carl Holden. I was in Carl Holden, I don't know, 8-9 months. I don't really know. Wound up starting a riot, got kicked out of Carl Holden, got sent to Preston, went to Preston, started a riot. Shout out to the homie Lil Black from 40s too. He was in YA with me. Started riot in Preston. They said, Mr. Crayzo, started 2 riots at the Youth Authority. I had an M number at the time, so I wound up getting sent to, since I was up north, they sent me to Tracy, DBI, for reception. And
so you say you started 2 riots. Who were involved in these riots?
Carl Holden, it was Southsiders. Because the crazy thing for me is, when I went to YA, when I went up north, the Crips was hanging with Norteños. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't used to that. We don't come from that climate, so to speak. And it's not racial. It's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? Black mixed with blacks, and Hispanics, you know, mixed with Hispanics. But when I got up there, they was doing the C-14 thing. You know what I'm saying? The Crips with the Norteños and you know, Bay Areas and so on and so forth. And I just had a problem with essays. You know what I'm saying? Not on a racial thing, but that's just really what it was. And I didn't really have no understanding for it. So the Norteño brothers was cool. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to them. But they start shipping up Southsiders. You know what I'm saying? And the more it came, the more, you know what I'm saying, the society of the YA changed. And so, you know, we know how they get when, you know, the numbers, so to speak, which they didn't have the numbers, but it was just enough of them for them to finally have a voice, because they didn't have a voice back then up north, because it was so many Norteños we was in the northern YA. So that riot started, and I was charged with being an agitator. And so when I went to Preston from Carl Holden, I wound up starting a riot with the 415s. For saying blood to me. You know, I tell you ain't finna be blood me. You know what I'm saying? And you know, he blooded me again. And I wound up taking one of them state boots, and it went up from there. You know what I'm saying? They sent me to Tamarack and shit. From there, I went to I got sent to Tracy, man, because I had an M number, so they kicked me out.
And so for those watching who may not know, 415s are brothers from up north, Oakland, in the Oakland area. And even though they were not bloods in the term of gang members, that was a word that was commonly used by them, you know. And so back in our days, you know, first and foremost, it was extremely disrespectful for a Crip to call a blood cuz and vice versa, you know. And so, like I say, back in those traditional gang banging days, that was something that was undone, you know, and so you know, it was viewed as disrespect. So when you end up getting to prison, what was that like for you at such a young age?
Oh man, it was I'm not gonna say scary, because you know we just weren't bred to be scared, but uh it was different. It was different because you know all the people you heard about, or I heard about, you know, being from Los Angeles, greater Los Angeles, you know, you hear about some dudes, man, you see these big old dudes, man, 22, 23, 20-inch arms, you know, walking around, and they all got them the glasses on, and you know, rags hanging all out their pocket, tied on their head, man. It was just different, man. It was a whole nother world. And my outside of, you know, seeing the guards with the mini 14s and things like that. But my first um, reality check, or when to let me know that I was actually really around men, was when I first hit the main line in Soledad in 92. And I don't know if the homie's still alive, or you know what I'm saying, or if he rest in peace, you know, or whatever. But if he is out there, shout out to the homie Lil Sea Dog from Long Beach Insane. Short, light skin. He had the perm back then. I can remember, you know what I'm saying, getting to the yard or whatever. He's the first person I seen, you know, in the building. And I asked him, I'm like, hey, homie, where you from? And he gave me a look. You know, now this is a grown man. I'm an 18, 19-year-old kid. You know what I'm saying? He look at me. He say, hey, homie, come here, homie. It was funny trying to think about it now. He say, hey, come here, homie. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? He say, check this out, homie. He say, man, you don't ask somebody where they from. You say, homie, where you from? I said, oh, man, I'm from Raymond Crip. I'm baby Crayzo. He say, okay, homie, I'm Lil Sea Dog from Long Beach Insane, homie. He say, but check this out. If the homie's a Crip, he gonna let you know he a Crip, man. Don't go around asking nobody where they from. We don't do that, homie. You know, and then he immediately directed me to one of my big homies, Big Seaball from Pasadena. Raymond was there. And but that was really like my first man-to-man reality check, you know, because you used to just ask people where they from and all that. But no, that it wasn't like that in there. You know what I'm saying? That was probably the last person I asked for some years, you know, where they was from.
And so what was it like, you know, and because that's back when prison was real, you know. What was it like being in prison? Was it any racial tension? Was the Crips and Bloods tripping? Was the blacks and the Southerners going at it? What was it like back then?
Not particularly right at that moment or that time. You knew who Crips and who Bloods were, because you were still able to have your colors on, wear your flags, your rags. You know what I'm saying? You know, the South Siders, you know, my boy, damn, man, my essay partner, we was in juvenile hall and camp together. I think Mousy, I think he's from Dog Patch, Eastside Paramount. He's from Eastside Paramount or Dog Patch, but he was out of Paramount. My boy Mousy, man, we wound up on the same yard. We knew each other from juvenile hall, so we used to chop it up or whatever. And I remember him telling me, like, hey, Crayzo, man, you know, we can't really, you know, bust no laps and nothing like that, you know, because woo. And, you know, I understood, you know, we was in YA, all that together. But he was my boy, though. You know what I'm saying? But we understood it was business. It wasn't personal. And that's just how it was.
Yeah. And so once you got out, what year was it when you was finally released?
I came home December 93. I wound up paroling from Lancaster. Soledad had they was flipping it over, so Corcoran had just opened up, and Lancaster had just opened up. So half the people was going to Corcoran, and some people was going to Lancaster. I wound up going to Lancaster. Opened up the B yard in January of '93, and I wound up paroling in December '93.
And once you paroled, how much time had you actually done in total?
That particular time, I did exactly 3 years. I think we went to jail either November, December of '90, and I came home December of '93.
And so when you got home, was doing that 3 years, was that enough to have you on the path of righteousness, or did you get right back to the cripping?
Hell no. Right back to the I had been to the pen, YA, all that, you know what I'm saying? I had maintained my name. I had always been accounted for when something was going on, or so, you know, some work had to, you know, be done on the yard or whatever, you know, being a little homie. you know, you got to earn your stripes. And, you know, I had been accounted for. So, you know, I was good. I came back home, you know, welcome with open arms, you know what I'm saying? But I do remember my mother, and rest in peace to my mother, man. I miss that woman so much. I remember being in Lancaster. I was a couple of months to the house, being on the phone with her. And my mama said, boy, I sure hope you finish with that nonprofit organization. You don't go back to that nonprofit organization when you get out. I'm on the phone. I'm like, what, mama? What you talking about, nonprofit organization? She said, yeah, them Crips, them gangbangers. You know, you ain't getting no profit out of that. You gonna do nothing but lose your life or lose some time being locked up. Hey, my mom had jokes, man. My mom has so much wisdom. She was so sharp. But I never forget, man. And we talking 93, so we talking, man, 30 years ago, man. My mother said that to me, and I never forgot. She said to me, boy, I sure hope you finish with that nonprofit organization when you get out of here. And Miles was something else. Miles was something special, man. I love that woman, man. I miss her so much, so much.
And rest in peace and shout out to your moms, man. And that's possibly where you got, you know, your humorous side, man. Because
listen, man. Hey, people tell me I'm funny, chill, man. But man, if they met my mother, man, Pamela Ward, man, I ain't got nothing on her, chill. Trust me, my mama had jokes, man.
And look, let me ask you to share a story, right? Because I heard you tell a funny story. I believe it was on Kev Mack, how you was in YA and you said you had the mitts. You know, you was putting hands on everybody. You was telling your mama how tough you was, and then
you
finally got your ass whooped.
That was in 90. That was in 90 because remember I was a juvenile, so that was in juvenile hall. It was either 90 or 91. Like I said, we went to jail in December 90. And I ran into a boy from Waterfront Pyru, and y'all check that out on Kev Mack videos. Type in Baby Crayzo fight story. Yeah, man. Shout out to my homie, my big homie, Big Bangy Mo. They have a thing now called mixed martial arts, UFC, stuff like that. But my big homie, Big Bangy, he was teaching us that. Me and Baby Bangy, Fat Daddy, he was teaching us that. So you got to think, I'm on the streets hanging with men, gangbang with men, fighting with men, you know, tussling or whatever. And once I get around some other kids, it was like my homie Clayhead. I'm gonna say Clayhead. I ain't gonna say his actual hood name. My homie Clayhead used to always say, "Man, Baby Crayzo, you a man amongst boys." You know what I'm saying? Because I just jumped right in with grown men, so to speak. So when I went to jail, man, I'm beating fools up, taking them down, you know. And then, you know, I'm 5'8", so I never thought dudes who was tall, 5'10", 6 feet or whatever, could fight, because the homie Big Bang had taught us how to get up under him and go to work. You know what I'm saying? Be it take it to the dirt or whatever the case may be. But man, I ran into a boy from Waterfront Pyru, man, and man, I went down to the cell. You know, we wound up having words. Like I said, you check it out on Kev Mack. We wound up having where I told him, man, come down to the room, because you know that's like my area. You come in this room, I'm gonna whoop you. You know, so you a kid. Even though he was taller than me, it didn't matter because the homie had taught us, you know, some stuff, how to defend ourselves. And man, he came in that room and I told him turn around, close the door. Bam, I fired on him. Man, he changed my life. Hey man, he turned around, man. He shook that off, man. Next thing you know, man, I'm on the floor, man. I wanted to holler, man, but I'm Crayzo from Raymond. I can't holler, you know. But I got to stomping my motherfucking feet, though. We got to making all the noise in the world, man. Please come get this nigga off of me, man. That nigga was on me like that old Palmer's glue or something. Man, he was stuck to me. I couldn't get that nigga up off me, man. But I tried to play it off, man, as best as I could, man. And you know, the staff rushed in or whatever. You crazy, man, you always fighting, woo, woo. But you know, it's a whole different outcome, you know what I'm saying, this time. Right. And I'll never forget, man, the nurse, man, came and looked at me, man. You know, you always see the nurse, you know, after you being there for a while, fighting your case, whatever, all the staff, they know you. And she's looking at me like, damn, somebody fucked you up. You know, she didn't say it, but her face said it. But fast forward to what you asked me about, man. I go on a visit, you know, that weekend, you know what I'm saying? By this time, the swelling go down a little bit or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I see moms, my auntie come see me, my mama's sister. They come see me, pull me. I'm like, hey, I give them hugs, whatever. I sit down. Mama like, boy, you been fighting again? I'm like, oh, yeah, moms, I had to, you know what I'm saying? You know, it didn't really go, you know what I'm saying? Moms, though, she looking at me, she looked at me, she said, yeah, boy, somebody finally whooped your Yeah, man. I said, Maj, you know, he got that with it. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. You know what I'm saying? But I carry that with me to this day, and I never forget it, man. So that way, you know what I'm saying? I don't get too ahead of myself because, you know what I'm saying, as far as defending myself or whatever, but I take all threats and all matters serious. You ain't walking up on me. You ain't doing none of that. We ain't going to go to no back and forth, heated argument, none of that. We getting off and it's going to be, you know what I'm saying, whatever it is. We don't underestimate nobody. And I learned that way back in 1990. So, man, shout out to that brother. Matter of fact, I think his name is Jermaine Miles. If I'm not mistaken, I think he might be Big New York from Waterfront Parole. Shout out to him. I heard he had a life sentence, so I wish him freedom. You know what I'm saying? For real.
And so once you got out, when you paroled from Lancaster, how long did you stay out?
I paroled December of '93, and I went back in August of '96.
So you actually got a nice little run.
Yeah. Oh man, blessings to one of my big homies. I will mention his name. Boy, he more private than the FBI. I won't even mention his name, but I remember him, man, basically plucking me off the block, man. He showed me another way of life, man. We started getting that out of town money, man, and you know what I'm saying. I'd never seen so much money in my life. And once again, shout out my homie Baby T and also my homie Clayhead. And my Clayhead, not actually the homie name, but everybody gonna know who I'm talking about. They actually gave my big homie the blessings, like, nah, man, the young homie straight. He about that work and all that. That's who you need to be with him, man. And to this day, man, me and my big homie been the best of friends, man. That's man, without him in my life, man, I don't even know where I'm at today. You know what I'm saying? Because he's been a mentor, big brother, father figure, moral compass, all that to me. Like I said, because you know, I was kind of wild, you know what I'm saying? So he, you know, picked me up, so to speak, like Elijah Muhammad did Malcolm X, you know, brushed him off, so to speak, cleaned him up. So shout out to my big homeboy, man. You know, everybody know who it is. If he see me say his name on YouTube, well, I'm gonna get the tongue lashing like my mama would give me. So I will say his name.
Most definitely. And so when you did go back in '96, how much time were you sentenced to?
6 with 80, I believe. 6 with 80. The crazy thing about me going to jail in 90, like I said, we was going out of town. We was getting that out of town money, and we was actually waiting to re-up. You know what I'm saying, with the essays. And when I say essay, let me say the Pisces, so to speak. There was a pool hall in our hood called the Crystal Palace. We used to hustle out of there, and a lot of my big homies hung out there and all that. And the homies had the plug with the Pisces straight out of Sinaloa. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, they was related and they cousins to Julio Cesar Chavez. I remember they all used to go back to Mexico, you know, for his fights and go to Vegas and all that stuff. And we was waiting to get some work, but I actually had something left over. And so I'm serving. And next thing you know, man, the spot got kicked in, man, and I went to jail. And that's how I wound up going to jail. They found some drugs, some guns. So I wound up taking a deal for like 6 with 80. And a couple of my other partners who was hustling at that time and all that, they wound up catching Fed cases. Like I said, we was going back and forth out of town. But, you know, so I could look at that either way. You know, I could have wound up going to the Feds or, you know what I'm saying, because I was still gangbanging too, you know, with the hustling. And, you know, but that's how that worked out. So I went back in August of '96. Then I came home July 2001. Matter of fact, that's when me and you was together.
Right. And that's what I was going to ask you. So we ended up running across each other. I would probably say, I don't know, somewhere around 99, 2000 Ironwood on a level 3.
Because I got the Ironwood at the end of '96. I only went to court a couple of months. So the end of '96, and I wound up being on. I went to CR first. Got into a skirmish with some guys that I have never seen again who said they was from Raymond. I ain't never seen them again, boy. But I sure been wishing I ever seen them show up at a hood day or anything. And but anyway, I wound up going to B yard after that, and I went. Matter of fact, I was on the B yard from 96. Yeah, 96, 97. I'm gonna say 96, into 96, all the way till I paroled July 2001.
And that's where I ran across you at. I don't actually even know how we started interacting together. Maybe it was because we was we was relatively close to each other and with
Yeah.
ourselves. Maybe it was basketball. I don't know, man. But me and you, you know, we got real tight and stuff.
Real cool.
All
Real
the time,
cool.
man.
Yeah.
You eventually ended up moving in the cell with Big U. So how did you wind up being cellies with Big U?
Oh man, Big U, man. Hey, that's my boy, man. Hey, that is my boy. My boy, they got my boy painted as a very controversial figure, man, in present times. But that's my boy. That's my big bro right there. He actually was in a riot per se in Lancaster. He came from Lancaster, and they had got into it with the essays in Lancaster. And he wound up getting transferred there. And when he came, he had I forgot who he was in the cell with, but they was on a violation. And so Big U, he's actually one of those names, you know what I'm saying? And in our culture, especially the greater Los Angeles, he one of them names, and always been a person that if you were somebody, or especially an elder or something, you know what I'm saying? I want to know you. I want you to approve of me in the way I get down. You know what I'm saying? You want that stamp of approval. So when the other homie had paroled, he was only in there a couple of months. He paroled. I told him, man, hey, I'm finna move up in there. He like, man, I don't care, get it done. You know what I'm saying? I already had been on the yard for a couple of years, so it wasn't nothing getting no bed move or whatever. You can attest to that. Right. When you tell that story about old boy getting you moved or whatever, man, we was finna stab. You know what I'm saying? We ain't played none of that. So it wasn't nothing. So once I moved once I moved in the cell with him, man, man, I love that dude so much, man. That dude took my cripping and my manhood to a whole nother level, man. The things he taught me, man, are priceless, man. And I don't got nothing negative to say about him. You know what I'm saying? You know, so that's my guy. You know what I'm saying? Anything, you know, a lot of stuff going on with his name now. They say, you know, this, that, or whatever. He a man, he'll deal with it however it go. But I never seen no fraudulent things out of him or nothing like that. It was always on some manhood. And if I could describe Big U, man, I would describe him as the ultimate little homie. You know, a lot of things that G homies did, those first, second generation Crips, you know, were about, you know what I'm saying, some of the controversial stuff. I won't particularly name him. He was just completely against. And he just was about standing on your word and principle and things like that, man. And he taught my cripping and he took my manhood and my cripping to a whole nother level. Shout out to him for that.
Yeah. And like I said, we was about 2 cells away. And I think due to my relationship with you, I also became relatively cool with Big U. And like you said, man, I've seen a lot of honestly outstanding things about the dude. You know, I remember one time, you know, sometimes in prison, man, we run out of food here and there. I come down there, I say, hey, Crayzo, can I get a little bit of beans or something? He said, oh, you need some beans? He just reached it, he had a gang and stuff. He said, here, and just threw me the beans, which may not seem like a whole lot to people watching, but first and foremost, me and Big U, we were from 2 different factions in prison. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so everybody's not gonna do that. Everybody's not gonna just reach out to another man. And I told him, no trip, I get it back to you when I go to the store. He said, oh, homie, I ain't tripping on that. And it
was never about that. It was never about that, because his whole thing was, okay, chill, Crip or anybody else, they be a blood, but they black. You know what I'm saying? He was about a person being black, man. If you was black, you was good until you wasn't good. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of things that I had thought or believed, he reinforced some of those things, man, with a lot of things he showed me or whatever. And I want to say something like this too. I remember one day we was in the cell, we was doing some hustling, and and he shouted out to me. He's like, Crayzo, homie, man, you know why I trust you? And he said to me, because you never asked me the specifics about, what I got going on or what we doing in this cell, yada, yada, yada. And I said, shit, ain't none of my business. You know what I'm saying? And that goes back to where I was taught as a young age, being in the streets. You don't ask no questions. You just deal with whatever's in front of you, especially if it's not your business. You know what I'm saying? Just be grateful and thankful for the blessing or whatever it is you got going on. But I didn't really fully understand his statement until years down the line when I got much older. You know what I'm saying? A person who asks a lot of questions can do a lot of telling. So if you don't know much, you can't say much.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? So he trusted me because I didn't ask questions. You know, because if push came to shove, not only was I down and I showed that I was, you know, about whatever, you know, we was about it, being a stand-up guy or whatever, but it's nothing he can tell, and he don't even want to know the specifics. So to the youngsters, man, that's just something I want to share with y'all, man. Please beware of a person who always asking you questions about stuff that's not their business.
Right. And I seen him do a few things down there as well, just in terms of being a good dude, man. I remember because he used to like to play basketball too. We
all the time.
He was out there playing basketball one day. Some Asian dude said something to a black dude on terms of getting violent with him. Big U, hurry up and spent. He said, man, you're not supposed to do nothing to nobody black. You know, once again, the dude that the Asian was talking to, he wasn't one of Big U's homies. He didn't run with his collective. He didn't run with his affiliation. But Big U stepped to the forefront and took that situation. Of course, when Big U spent and started walking toward the Asian, a couple of his homies grabbed him and said it was cool. And, you know, like I say, I've seen that Big U is extremely loyal to whoever his people is. You know, sometimes in prison, sometimes your people is bigger in terms of a collective, and then sometimes they shorter. You know, sometimes because of the politics, you know, black on black politics, sometimes your people become shorter. But he's definitely, you know, he's definitely a good dude, man. But tell us about that time you messed around and broke his TV up in there, though.
I knew you was gonna ask me about that because you was there, man. So it go like this. Excuse me. We was in the cell and they had us on lockdown for something, early count or whatever, right? So before you, as you can remember, when you come back from child, you lock it down for a minute. Then, you know, they take however long to open up the yard. So being that Big U was is a practicing Muslim, I think they let him out to go to the chapel or something like that, right? So he wound up being able to get out the cell early before the yard opened. When they let him out to go see the imam or something like that, I took the time. I said, well, okay, let me sweep out the cell, straighten up, you know what I'm saying, for yard. That way we come in from showers, whatever, we ain't got to do it, whatever. So I hop off the bunk. I'm moving TVs, radio stuff, clearing out from under the bed, all the store stuff, putting it on his bunk, got the mattresses roll up, everything. So he came from Lancaster. He had a boom box. The boom box was one of them sit flat. It was big old boom box, and it had a TV on it right in the center, right? So I get the boom box and move it. Yeah, I move it on top of the bed. So I sweep out the cell. I finish sweeping out the cell. Boom, 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 boom. So when I take everything to put it back, when I put the boom box back up under the bed, I go to take a step and do something. Boom! I kick the boom box right in the center of the TV screen. I'm like, I didn't know what I hit at first. When I looked, I'm like, oh, I'm about to die, right? I reach up under there, I look at the screen. The screen got a whole crack right down the middle. I'm like, I couldn't have kicked the speaker or nothing. I'm like, damn, man, what am I gonna tell this nigga? So they open the yard. I'm like, oh. Either they opened the yard or he came back from yard. One or the other, right? No. I waited. I know what it was. I waited. They opened up the yard. I go to the yard. Boom. We all the homies check in. The car check in. Woo, everybody good. Everybody straight. Woo, woo. Yard recall, right? I'm like, I gotta go in this cell, right? So boom, everything's still stacked up, whatever. So we get in the cell. I'm like, damn, hey big bro, I was cleaning up the cell, man, and I think I broke the radio. He's like, what you mean you broke the radio? I said, I didn't try to plug it back up or nothing, but I mean, I broke the radio. I said, I ain't say the TV on the radio, right? Everybody got a radio. No, nobody got a radio with a TV on it, right? So boom, he looked. So I'm standing. He went to cell first because he was on the bottom bunk. So he by the desk. So he in between the locker and the bunks. I'm standing by the toilet, the sink, and all that. So he grabbed, he said, man, how you do this? Right? I'm like, man, woo. He like, man. So I don't know. He needed to get somebody, needed to get to the sink or something. I could tell he hot, but he got love for me. He my boy. You know what I'm saying? He's a big old giant. I'm a little bitty, right? But he's my boy, right? But this is my team Ray. I've been in jail, man. I'm gonna kill this little. I know that's what he's thinking in his brain, but he love me. This is my boy, right? So he like, man, move, get out the way. He kind of like nudged me with his shoulder, right? Like it didn't take much, you know what I'm saying? He like kind of nudged me with his shoulder. Man, I was like Jackie Chan in that chair. Man, I hit the toilet, the sink. Man, I was up on that bunk so fast. Man, I couldn't believe it. Man, I think I went to sleep with all my clothes on, and I didn't want to move, make a sound, nothing that night. But he wound up, you know, forgive me. He got over it or whatever. But I'll never forget, man. We was on the SA side of the day room one day. Anybody remember the prison? You know, you got two phones on each side. Sometime, you know, they'll tell you to go on whatever side you use the phone, your phone time. I'm standing over there, keeping Usalam. You know, I got the thing on me or whatever. He on the phone. I remember him telling his wife, man, this little bastard even broke my TV. You know what I'm saying? The TV still worked, but it had that crack in it or whatever. But he loved me, man. It's my boy, man. But yeah, that was the time I was scared in prison, man. Because I'm like, he's gonna kill me. This ain't gonna be no fight at all. You know what I'm saying? But nah, man, shout out to my boy, man. He spared me, man. You know, he spared me.
And you said he also used to exercise and do his karate, do 100 kicks a day or something like that. You had told me.
Oh yeah, man. He think he Chuck Norris or somebody, man, or how we say what's the brother that died? Jim Kelly. You know what I'm saying? Man,
Yeah.
he used to beat that door to death. Man, I used to be on the top bunk looking at him like, nah, man, this big supposed to be able to move like that. You know what I'm saying? But that's what it was, and he was really like that. And actually, man, he taught me some things when I was in there, man. I was able to use, you know, I came to the streets or whatever.
I remember Crayzo, you know, you was a cool, laid back dude, man, laughing and stuff. But you definitely didn't take no stuff, man. You was quick to get your squabble on or do that other thing, man. I ain't gonna say his name, but you know what? Yeah, I do remember his name. But I remember you was maybe about a week or two to the house, man. And one of my homies got you real mad one time. We was going to the chow hall, man. And we was kill you, man. We was because me and you we used to walk the chow and walk together. And so you coming out the chow hall, you said, man, I'm supposed to go get this. You know, I said, who you talking about? You said, you told me the name. I said, oh, homie, kick back, Crayzo. You short out. You said, man, I don't know who he think he playing with or whatever, man. You had the thing on you. I had to talk you how to go into the chow hall.
Yeah, you did that. Hey, I appreciate that because I was finna stab him. I was gonna stab him. We didn't care about no 2 weeks to the house and none of that or whatever. And a lot of times, man, that's where blacks sometimes be at a deficit with certain conflicts and things like that because they worried about everything but the right thing, everything but the issue. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I got a visit coming. Oh, I don't want to mess this up. Oh, it's about to be stored. Man, none of that matters. The issue is the issue, and you take care of your issue. Right. So you know what I'm saying? But I appreciate that, Chill. You know what I'm saying? Now you gotta remember, I was on S time when we had a ride on the yard.
Right.
They was like, Crayzo, you don't gotta come out, maybe you going home or whatever. But like I referred to back when I've grown up, you always want to be accounted for. So first thing they gonna say is, oh man, Crayzo didn't participate. No, nigga, I was out there with the knife stabbing. No, I didn't care about because everybody ain't gonna get caught anyway.
Right.
So it happened. The police, I've been on the yard salon. They like, Crayzo, man, yo, S time, man, what you doing out here? I said, man, I was just giving some store, man, to one of my homies, man, and they kicked off. I don't know what happened. Man, they let me walk right in, man. I had the knife on me and everything. You know what I'm saying? Knife had blood on it and all that. You know, man, they let me walk right in the building. Like, man, go on and go in. So all that worked out. Matter of fact, I paroled. We was on lockdown when I paroled. I left the unit cell, dropped you off a bunch of store by yourself. Right. And left TV to my homie. And yeah, man, I was out, man. I was out.
Most definitely, man. And
that was July 2001. I paroled from Ironwood.
And so moving fast forward, I believe, you know, we end up reconnecting
a few years ago.
Yeah, because about maybe 2002, 2003, I think I may have seen you on the Kev Mac or somewhere, but I didn't think it was you because, like you said, you didn't gain about 50, 60 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, man, is that Crayzo? You know, your voice is pretty much the same. Then how I knew it was you, I seen somebody said something about some football, and of course, I remember your team was the Denver Broncos. And I said, "Oh yeah, that's him, man." Matter of fact, I think I reached out to Kev Mack.
Yeah, and you had left a comment, and I seen the comment, and we reached back up and linked like that, and we've been in contact ever since, man. Hey man, and you got to remember, man, I was so happy to talk to you. I said, "Chill, you out?" I'm like, "What?" Because back then they wouldn't let lifers out. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, "What? Chill, you out?" Then shortly after that, man, we pulled up on each other, man. And we linked up. I wound up taking you to Roscoe's. The first time you'd never been to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffle. Shout out Roscoe's Chicken and Waffle. And I said, "Chill, hey, we got security too. We straight."
Right.
You was like, "Man, what the hell I got?" But my whole thing is,
I jumped because I think at that time I'm still on parole. I jumped in, chill, driver's license here, other things is here. I'm like, man,
hey, listen, chill. But hey, don't nobody care, man. I ain't in the streets no more like that. I'm driving trucks. No, that's Crayzo from Raymond. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that. So when you be running around LA, you run around LA, man. You gotta, keep security, on yourself or whatever, because ain't nobody gonna protect you like you protect yourself. But I just and also too, by you getting the car, let you know, hey, I'm gonna get you back home by any means necessary. And we wound up going to get us some Roscoe's, man, on the east side, man. We went right in the gutter, you know what I'm saying? And the food was good. I was gonna
say, man, we didn't go to just any old chicken and waffles. We went to the one, unfortunately, the brother P&B Rock from Philadelphia was killed at a little later. And, we was in the ghetto, man. When we hop out, I see, it's Crips everywhere. Man, I hadn't seen no blue shoestrings in a long time. You khakis and blue shoestrings. I'm like, damn, Crayzo, where the hell you got me at? So that was
we straight. Don't even trip, man. We good. You and me. It's gonna work out. Have it work out. But no, I ain't finna go nowhere I ain't safe, let alone take somebody else. So even though it looked like that. These my people. We good right here. You know what I'm saying?
As soon as we pulled over, a couple of dudes got the, they acknowledged you, they knew you by the name and stuff like that. Yeah. But let me ask you this, right? Because you were extremely, like I said, when we got out, people, started talking to you. They knew you by name, so you was extremely familiar with that area, and people in that area was familiar with you. What were your thoughts on a rapper like P&B Rock going there who wasn't necessarily familiar with the area, pulling up in a luxury car with a lot of diamonds and gold on? What was your thoughts on all that?
That man, because the brother lost his life, but being you asked me, you my boy, I got to answer it. I'm answering. That was dumb. It was dumb, and I say it's dumb if you don't know nobody. You're not familiar. If that's not your particular hood, it don't matter what city it is. If that's not your hood or your section, they have a term called checking in. Shout out to Big Q. He had a show called Checking In to a World Star Hip Hop, I believe. Checking in is great. It ain't got nothing to do with no extortion, this or that or whatever, but you got to know where you at, especially when you in another city. If I go to Houston, I need to be with somebody from Houston. Just like I went to Dallas to the Earl Spence fight when he fought Ugas a couple of years ago. I got a partner down there in Dallas. So not only did we check into our hotel, I checked in with our partner. He came and got us and rolled us around or whatever. But LA, this is not a town where you come, especially rappers, man. You don't come here and floss your jewelry and your cars and all that. You will be victimized. In this town right here, they don't play. LA preys on LA. So imagine an out-of-towner or a visitor with $200,000-$300,000 worth of jewelry on. You're going to get victimized, man. But unfortunately, it went to the extreme part where the brother lost his life. I wish he would have had an escort, so to speak, or somebody in that area, because you notice he couldn't hop out like us. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm from there. I'm of this area or this culture, so I know the lingo and who to speak to and what to say when I am approached or whatever. But I'm not jumping out everywhere with no $200,000-$300,000 $1 million worth of jewelry on. Not even myself. And I know everybody from everywhere, but I'm not jumping out like that. Well, I walk around like that. Yeah, I will, but why? You going amongst the have-nots. You made it. So you got to respect where you at. You understand what I'm saying? You got to respect. Stay on the other side of the 10 freeway. Not to say that's a soft area, anything like that. Shout out to the Playboys, Marvins, the show lines, all that, schoolyard, all that. But I'm just saying, go past, stay over there, go to the valley, stay in Calabasas or somewhere like that. When you come past that 10 freeway, and past the 105 and the 91 and the 110 and all that on the east side or the west side of the freeway, you got to know where you at, and you got to be able to speak the lingo, and you want to actually have some partners who's from those certain areas, or you're going to get victimized. You're going to get victimized. And it's like that in any city, in any hood, especially a big city.
Right. And so basically he just made a potentially problematic area more problematic by pulling up with all that jewelry, nice car, like you say, not knowing nobody.
Yeah, not knowing nobody, because the first thing it's not to say you can't ride around in this town like that. Let's get that clear. You can. But when you jump out, comes with the first thing, somebody gonna nudge you like, hey, who's that? Like, that's basically your hood check, so to speak. Somebody need to say that that's such and such, such and such. Because if that ain't such and such and such and such from such and such and such and such, or they with such and such and such and such, you're going to get victimized.
I recently did an interview with a brother by the name of Cree. Yeah, the name of his page is The Racketeer, 8 Million Stories.
Okay, yeah. Hey,
actually, actually, you are the one that put me in touch with him. So I seen a story that he did, right? Like a night or two before, I sent him a message. Then the next day you happened to call, and either you was telling me about him or I mentioned him to you or something. You said, oh yeah, I know him, and you called him. So
yeah, matter of fact, hold on. Yeah.
So
Cree from Anthony's Park. Yeah, hey, that's my partner. Actually, me and Cree, we met in trucking school. We both was getting our truck driver's license. Man, it was crazy how we met. I think Cree had asked you. We just talk whatever. You just see, black men or whatever. We about business. We at the truck school, whatever. I think Cree asked me where I'm from. I think I went. I was like, oh man, I'm crazy. I'm from Raymond, right? And so he's like, oh okay, that's right. So automatically when I heard, okay, that's right, hold up, where you from? You know what I'm saying? I knew that it was, he's like, oh man, I'm from Anthony's Park. You know, Anthony's Park? What they call you? He's like, oh, they call me Cree. I'm like, man, we was trying to kill you back in the day. When you talk to him, he gonna tell you that was my natural reaction. I said, you was on the hit list, because Cree was an old graffiti wall banging that dude. You know what I'm saying? He was like, man, if we ever catch this dude riding around crossing the set out, dog, we're gonna kill him. But the fortunate thing about that, man, is we met on grown man time, man, and it wasn't none of that, man. And that's been my partner ever since, man. We talk on the phone, man, weeks at a time. You know what I'm saying? Every couple of weeks or so, or we out there on that road driving them trucks or whatever, man, just keeping each other laced and
you have a lot of people who may watch my channel for whatever reasons, right? And everybody is not necessarily understanding or okay. And I understand everybody's not necessarily understanding or okay with the gang banging culture, the Crips and the Bloods, but you was one of those dudes, man, who, you were serious about what you was doing. And I think that's one of the reasons we bonded, right? Because like you said, when you Cripping, you blooding, you have to be serious. I mean, you can be laughing and joking to a certain extent and having fun. I mean, you don't have to be no dude mad dogging all day long, but there are certain issues, like you say, that need to be addressed, and you do got to handle this business. And so now that you're older, what do you think of the gang banging life, being a dude who was really, who really believed 100% in Cripping?
What do I believe in the present day culture today?
Right. What are your thoughts on, on being a gang member, period, and then the culture of gang banging today?
Unfortunately, if you live in a certain place, or your family is rooted in a certain section or what have you, that stuff is right outside your doorstep. If not your immediate family member, daddy, uncle, brother, mama. So if you're in a certain part of a certain city or whatever, and they do have gang culture right there, it's pretty much hard to escape. Especially when you don't have a father in the home. That's it's gonna be hard to escape. A lot of people shun certain people away who the woman or the matriarch of the family may get a good job and move out, to the outskirts of the hood or the ghetto per se, or the dad get himself together, or maybe not even be a criminal, have a criminal past, but you see what you live around, and then you move to the outskirts or whatever, Inland Empire, you know, you might hell, you might even move to another state. So it's tough. It's tough when you don't have the financial means to get up and move. And so let me play the mother in a fatherless home for a second, chill. Okay, I got to make ends meet. I got to pay these bills. I got to go to work. Sometime I might have to get 2 jobs. I don't necessarily have the same supervision over my child than I do, or that I could possibly have as far as my work schedule. So the child is open to seeing a lot of things because the parent is at work, you know, and the highest things are in all these major cities, especially Los Angeles and the greater Los Angeles area. You need 2 incomes. So maybe the father and the mother is out the home, so the child is left to the streets, especially if you live in certain areas. So now, say the child gets a taste of that. Once a child gets a taste of the streets, and you see the autonomy that you can gain by doing what you want to do, nobody could tell you this or that because you're running a group of guys, girls, or what have you. It's hard to rein that unbridled energy. It's hard to rein that back in. You know what I'm saying? So that's why fathers are very important to the home, because I believe if you got a man in that house, those children have a chance to succeed. So we fast forward to your question as far as how I see present day gang banging. Chill, boy, you put me on the spot, but it's all good. It's different. It's different, you know, and I'm not even saying it's different in a negative way, because the positives now that I see in present day gang banging is you got hoods that would have never got along, never had no type of interaction or no type of communication through rap music, through hustling, through whatever, what have you. You have a lot of neighborhoods intermixing and intermingling now, be it Crip blood, Crip blood, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Now, the next step to that, because you have forged those lines of communication, let's weed out the issues and the problem, or let's address some things. Because, okay, say we get along with a certain Crip set. This certain Crip set gets along or has relations with this other Damu set, right?
Right.
But we don't have that same relationship with them. It's F them, or whatever the case may be. But the next level of thinking is, let me tell my Crip partners to get at them so we can possibly have a ceasefire, stop all the killing and the bloodshed, because everything, unfortunately, I got to say it how it is. Everything and everybody and most things walking the face of this earth is against Black. Those who consider themselves Black, African Americans, or whatever the case may be. So this is when I had a wake-up call one day, chill. I'm in the county jail. I'm fighting my case. I went back to jail July 05 from getting out 2001. I stayed out 4 years, caught a homicide. I'm in the county jail, right? In the midst of all that, everything going on, whatever. I talked to one of my homies one time in the cell, and he said, man, baby Crayzo, man, I hope you get out. I hope you beat it. Woo, woo, woo. He said, but let me ask you this, homie. When do it stop? Like, man, what you talking about? You know, I didn't take it negatively what he was saying, but I just didn't understand what he was saying. He said, when do it stop? He said, man, you've been down since you was 13, 14, 15 years old. You didn't, like, when do it stop? And although I heard what he said, I didn't really take in what he said until later on, maybe a month or two later. One day I went to court, and the judge was kind of late from his chambers. And I told this, shout out Kev Mac videos. I said this on the video. The judge was late to his chambers, and I was able to look around the courtroom. I was able to see my mother, aunt, uncles, different cousins, you know, family, friends, supporters, you know, all that. And on the other side of the courtroom was the victim's mother and brother and those family members, you know, in support of. And I looked at his mother, you know, and I seen her, whatever. She had, you know, look on her face. She lost her son. And I look back at my family, you know, they all happy, but they sad. We don't know what's going on. I'm still going through the motions. And I turned back around, man, and I said to myself, along with my homie's phone call from a couple of months back, I said, yeah, this got to stop. Because not only did this lady or this mother lose a child, but I'm looking at my mother and she about to lose a son too. They got the same look on their face, you know. So even though I'm still caught up in the gang in the midst and doing everything, I'm still in jail. So it is what it is. But the seeds were planted by my homeboy's phone call and then seeing those same looks. And so to get back to your original question, how can I, in good conscience, pass up the Asian that looks at me as a consumer only, won't hire me for a job? You go anywhere where some Asians work, you're gonna see some other Asians working with them, or you're gonna see some Hispanics. How can I pass up the Asian, pass up the Hispanic guy? When I'm speaking Southern California, they BK, CK, NK, pass them up, pass up the police brutality, the racist cop or the cop that patrols the neighborhoods, do people dirty, and not in the inner city, but say skinheads, whatever the case may be. How could I pass up all those people and go kill another black man? That dog don't hunt. Them days are over with for me. You understand what I'm saying? There's no possible way in my conscious mind that I could do that. See, because chill, once you seek knowledge, gain knowledge, attain knowledge, and understand knowledge, then you're responsible for what you know. So I can't, in good consciousness, just go out and do something to somebody that looked like me. Referring back to Big U, you said he was on his blackness, and even though he was a Crip or blood or whatever the case may be, that's just what it is. And when you grow up, to get back to your original question, when you asked about today's present gangbangers, when you grow up, or one of the big homies can actually grab you around the shoulder and say, hey, this ain't the way. Or when my big homie grabbed me off the corner and showed me the other way when we was back in the 90s getting that out of town money, to hey, it's another way. You know what I'm saying? Then things will get better, but you have to be conscious. Somebody has to say, okay, they killed 15 of our homeboys over the years. Okay, they killed 25 of our homeboys over the years. Who's gonna go say enough is enough? Who gonna say that?
Right.
So if you big such and such, or you about this and all that, and you know what the knowledge is, you're responsible for what you know. And I have some, and I'm gonna say that you edit it out. It may be controversial, but I am a firm believer of ethnic cleansing. A firm believer in it. If this is what it is, and you don't want to be down with this, they need to get you out of here, because you're part of the problem and not the solution. And that's the same thing with somebody getting deeply disciplined or whatever the case may be. And sometimes it's to our detriment, because like I said, you've seen it, chill. We locked up. Dudes don't want to take care of business because it's a visit coming, or I want to go to the store. No, you deal with the issue. Check this out, man. These kids can't walk to school without shots being fired and stuff like that. Now, mind you, this is a new way of thinking for me over the last 20 plus years. I wasn't like this. So I'm not a person who, because I don't sell dope no more, I'm going to call the police on the dope dealer. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm in full understanding of the mentality that our brothers and sisters are caught up in. You know, it's just like right now I'm on here talking about blackness and things like that. But when I came on here, say Baby Crayzo, Raymond Avenue Crip, and I got a hat representing my turf. Absolutely, because that is still my section. Because I'm not out running with my young homies and perpetrating, you know, certain acts, so to speak, doesn't mean that I'm not in tune with what's going on, or I'm not in full support of my neighborhood, but I'm more in support of the positives versus the negatives. So it was something I was driving. I was in Arizona waiting on a load, man, a few years ago when that thing happened with George Floyd, right? And I woke up, chill. I woke up that morning, man, and I was crying, man. I mean, I was crying, man, just looking, watching George Floyd die like that, man, and watching his coward homeboy hold a phone, man. I wish I would hold a phone and not help my homeboy when he fighting the police. That just ain't gonna happen. First of all, they should have strung him up for that. That's another thing I'm talking about. Ethnic cleansing. There's no way that dude should have been welcomed back to the neighborhood, man. You said and watch that man die. You didn't help your partner. But I woke up crying, man, and my homie Big Spark, shout out Big Spark, man, my big homeboy, my OG and homie, man. one of the initial founders of the turf. I called him on the phone and I said, "Hey, big homie, I'm crying, man." And Spark, my homie, big homie Spark could tell you, he also did an interview on Kev Mack. I say to him, I said, "Spark, tears running down my face thinking about George Floyd." I said, "Spark, man, if you are who you say you are, man, I need you to be a person who effects change, man. You got to do something about this. You got to do something about whatever we doing for us killing each other, because that cop shouldn't have been able to get away with that. That cop just shouldn't have been able to get away with that." So in good conscience, Chill, there's no way in the world, man, I could, without defending myself or my family or loved ones such as yourself like that, in good conscience, just go and do something to somebody that looks like me. That just ain't what it is. When you know in this society and throughout the world, anybody with our skin color, man, and even a pinch of African American or black blood in them are shunned and looked upon sideways.
I definitely appreciate you coming on here today, homie. You know, me and you have been trying to get this interview done for a while. We finally got it done, man. Thank you for sliding through, you know, sharing some of your stories and your knowledge with us. It was definitely a pleasure to have you on the show, man. And we definitely gonna hook back up pretty soon.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you for having me, Chill. It's been a long time coming, man. I be seeing the comment section a lot of your videos, man. They be asking you about Baby Crayzo because you mentioned me in some of your stories, man. And once again, man, I'm not even on YouTube if it's not for my big homie Big Nugget. My big homie, and also Kev Mack videos, man. Shout out to those two brothers, man. And shout out for the CDC system, man, that's releasing, man, a lot of our homeboys and partners, man. Finally released my partner Chill, man, so he can get out, man, and do for himself, man, and enjoy his mother, man. You know what I'm saying? So blessings to you too, big bro. I appreciate you having me.
Hey, thank you, man. So you already know what it is. It's your boy 16 to life. We out of here. Y'all resume normal program.